Is Makhosi Kosa being charged for a call on President Jacob Zuma to step down? How does the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal expect party MPs to vote during the motion of no confidence? And who is the ANC in KZN preferring as their presidential candidate? What is the root cause of political killings in KwaZulu-Natal? What time is it? It's question time. Khoza and welcome to the show. My name is Makhosi. Last week, Member of Parliament Dr. Makhosi Kosa was charged by the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal with misconduct for breaching 11 party rules, bringing the party into disrepute and behaving in a manner that negatively affects party unity. A deployee of the province, Kosa, has on a number of occasions called on President Jacob Zuma to step down and respect those who elected him. She also ruffled a few feathers recently when she said she will not, or rather she will vote in support of a motion of no confidence in President Zuma scheduled for August 8th. Ironically though, other senior members of the party, including Derek Hanekom, Pravin Gordhan, and most recently Mondli Gungubele, have also called on President Zuma to resign. These developments come in the wake of allegations of factionalism in the province that is said to be fueled by the presidential race. In another development, the ANC in the province says tensions in the lower south coast have led to the leadership stripping the region of its executive powers. But what is the latest regarding the pending court ruling on the 2015 Provincial Conference, by the way? We are live, and therefore you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 089-110-4210, our international number +2789 110-4210. Or tweet us your comments at QuestionTime24. My guest today, Dumseni Ntuli, is the ANC KwaZulu-Natal spokesperson, and Professor Susan Boyson, who is a political analyst. I welcome both of them into studio here. Mr. Ntuli, thank you very much for making time to talk to us in studio. I don't think a lot of us, and I mean by us I mean in the media, we were surprised really with the call that KZN has decided to charge Makhosi Kosa. This was expected, but the reasons that you are furnishing there, what surprised us?
Well, I think employees may very well know that the matter is now before the Provincial Disciplinary Committee, which therefore means that there would be limitations as to the extent to which I can make public comments in relation to it. But the point I want to make is the fact that we came out of a national consultative conference and a policy conference having agreed that we needed to change the manner in which things are going on in the organization. There was that undertaking, and I thought when you were saying in your preliminary remarks that many of you were not surprised, I thought you were not surprised precisely because you believed in the conclusion of the ANC National Policy Conference that change was necessary and that discipline has to be enforced if we are to remain relevant in an organization that enjoys the support of the great masses of our people.
Yeah, but how does Makhosi Kosa impede the activities of the organization?
You see, we had agreed, all of us, that we have to open a new chapter. We can't go on endlessly in an effort that seeks not only to delegitimize continuously the sitting president of the ANC, but the party itself. Now, you would know that Comrade Makhosi did not only speak in public and in some of the internal meetings of the ANC, but he equally shared a platform with an organization, or whatever they call themselves, which has made a very clear determination that part of their agenda is the removal of the president, and ultimately the ANC, because they no longer believe that the ANC leadership has what it takes to take South Africa forward.
But Makhosi Kosa never said that she wants the ANC removed. She only said that she believes that it is time for President Zuma to leave office.
You see, when one of you decides to assume a podium in a platform that has been arranged by the forces that I had worked to remove you, you have to be careful that even if there is no direct utterances in relation to what your enemy is saying, but sharing the platform with the enemy that is at work to undermine the ANC's legitimacy remains a matter of great concern to us.
But the KZN ANC therefore is very hypocritical, because recently ANC Youth League comrades disrupted the Treasurer General's speech and Pravin Gordhan's speech in honor of a stalwart of the ANC, Ahmed Kathrada, in KZN. Nothing has ever happened to those people who disrupted that. I mean, it took Sihle Zikalala to stand up and point people and actually threaten some in that meeting, you know, to say we're going to be dealing with you. Why the speed with which you moved to get Makhosi Kosa to account is not the same, for instance, in dealing with those comrades of the Youth League?
You see, you would recall that what the incidents you are referring to is part of many incidences that have occurred before the National Policy Conference. I think there's a significance to the fact that at the end of the policy conference, there was a consensus about the paradigm shift in terms of how we conduct ourselves in public, both as members and leaders of the ANC. But even on that incident, we did meet with the ANC Youth League, for that matter, if you are not aware. We met with the Youth League as the organization that was represented in that platform where Comrade Treasurer General and Comrade Pravin were disrupted. And we said to them, we would not allow this kind of behavior to continue in our province. And anybody who continues to do what was happening there will have to face the consequences. It's our approach in the province. You don't make a mistake or you transgress and we immediately take you to a DC. There's a political process to engage you, because we believe that all members of the ANC are capable of being rehabilitated. So
did you do the same with Makhosi Kosa?
Certainly. Comrade Makhosi, even by her own admission in public, she has had an opportunity to engage with a variety of ANC leaders, including national officials for that matter, and our own leadership, through platforms that we have that allows us to have an engagement between those members of parliament who are from our province and the provincial leadership of the ANC. A statement was made that unless we change this kind of behavior, we are therefore unwittingly contributing to the agenda that will ultimately bring about the demise of the African National Congress, and she knows about that.
Susan Poison, let me bring you in. What is your diagnosis?
Well, I think the mistake that is being made is to argue that Makhosi Kosa wants the ANC to be demolished, to be removed from power, whatever phrase we want to use there. And it's a very narrow focus perspective on that, not taking into account sufficiently that what I assume she and what I hear from speaking to many people, many others want, is actually to rescue the ANC from itself, ironically, at this stage, because many people are arguing inside the ANC, beyond the ANC, even those who would be argued are hostile to the ANC and others who are not hostile to the ANC. But you see this as a kind of last opening to rescue the ANC from destroying itself into an electoral minority, and looking at the role that the president of the ANC regrettably has been playing in that. And so from that way around, I think it's very debatable what is at this stage to the detriment of the ANC and who is to the detriment of the ANC. And if we look at several studies, including electoral studies, including in a province like Gauteng, they have shown very clearly that when people voted, for example, in the last election, local elections last year, their perceptions of the president were pivotal in how they decided to make their crosses. And with that being as a primary issue that is not going away, that the ANC talks about having made a paradigm shift away from it. But we do not see it in action. There's a lot of talk about having changed and turned a page, etc. But still, the action remains the same. And the action remains to protect the president from going to court, from getting those convictions, potentially, if not likely, in a court of law, given all the accumulated evidence that we see, protecting him from being at the wrong side of the ANC Constitution's Rule 25 far, far more than what people like Makhosi and Kosa are.
Let's go to the Free State. Is it Munsisi or Munsisi? Dati.
Yes, ntate tjale o fa chance go ke bo.
It's all up in that work.
Ntate mpho wa tswa go thatha ke kara ANC ya emelana. Wa mona ntate o ditsineng.
Yes.
Is because me Khoza ile go bua nnete ka president ya bona. Ba tlamile ba mo emele because bona mo KZN. Youth speech ya bona ile ya go ka batho. Ya shapa batho etsa ba ba yetsa so because of ke me Khoza bua di nnete. Ba batla that's the problem at ANC.
Okay, Ndati Mtsisi, thank you very much. Well, Mtsisi, they're saying, look, the problem with the KZN ANC is that the Makhosi Kosa is saying Zuma must go, so you want to deal with her because that's what she's saying. Because to tell the honest truth, Ndati, the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal is not united. So there's no way that Makhosi Kosa can be said to be dividing a divided organization.
Well, you see, it's not true that our action is intended to to protect the president of the ANC at all costs, as it seems to be implied by the caller, the recent caller. The fact of the matter, Mpo, is that if you are an organization, you have to keep the shape of an organization. You can't be led by individual brilliance. Individual brilliance have to be blended with the collective wisdom. And what must emerge as a solution to problems that we are confronted with as a movement must be a collective wisdom, which all of us, including Comrade Makhosi, must be subjected to. Let's, for argument's sake, say there is a merit to the argument that President Zuma has done something wrong and therefore he has to face the consequences. Let's say, for a second, there is a very strong merit to that case. The leadership of the ANC, in this case, the apex leadership, which is the National Executive Committee, has to rise to the occasion in dealing with such questions. If the leadership has made a conclusion which is contrary to what may be a popular sentiment pondered in public, even through analysis that is going on in society, we can't then say, therefore, any of us is justified to break the rank and move away from the collective decision of the movement. Because then you cease to be an organization. You become a conglomeration of individuals where individual brilliance will take precedence over a collective agenda. And that will mean we will no longer have an organization in the near future.
But how do you say this? You know, otherwise I would really be tempted to agree with you. But you coming from a region or a province and you're representing a PEC with just stripped several regions of its powers and the perception there, and you're a politician, you would know, perception is everything in politics. The perception there is that you are dealing systematically with regions that support Cyril Ramaphosa to take over from Jacob Zuma come December.
You see, let me tell you, this narrative lacks fundamentals in terms of credibility. The first region where we took away powers of the Regional Executive Committee was Hedikwara region. Anybody who lives in KwaZulu-Natal and anywhere else in our country who's familiar with KwaZulu-Natal will know that, as a matter of fact, Hedikwara region dominantly, overwhelmingly supported the election of this leadership. We went to Far North region, we took the same decision. We now have gone to the Lower South Coast region, and for some strange reasons, and I'm told this because the regional secretary of that region has made it public for himself to support the deputy president who was sent to the position of the president, which probably is his own right to do that. But that does not represent, therefore, the majority of the branches, as a consequence of which we would have taken a decision to disadvantage that leadership from leading the process to the regional conference. It's a perception. Yes, we must be concerned about perception, but we also have a responsibility that in the course of dealing with the perception, we must also cultivate the capacity to extract facts from the truth, so that we deal with matters on a much more concrete and substantial way.
Dan, you are in Hammanskraal. Welcome.
Yes, how's it, sir?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, President.
All right. Yeah, my comment is that if Makhosi Kosa is not happy, she must just pack her bag and leave the ANC, because she joined voluntarily, and then she must also leave voluntarily. Who is she representing to recall Zuma? It is clear that she's representing the white monopoly. Like people like the professor there, Susan Boyce.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, so Susan is also white monopoly. Wow.
I wish.
Oh, okay. Well, I've known you for over 20 years now. Didn't know you were white monopoly capital.
Yeah. Neither did I. Yeah. You know, I think important part of what the caller does mention there comes to the point. It's a fight for which ANC and whose ANC. And from the top down in the ANC, we get so much emphasis now on unity and discipline, unity and discipline. Certainly, Makhosi, you know, as a party member, people have to subject themselves to discipline, and the rules are very clear on that. That's what political parties are about. Yeah. But then political parties come to this kind of existential crisis, which the ANC is in now. And it cannot be just discipline and unity for the sake of having that and not protecting, advancing a core set of values in there. Yeah. And therefore, discipline and unity stop having much meaning in a context like that. And that is much of the debate, because Kosa comes on that, but it's a much broader debate as to where the ANC is now and what is being protected by exercising discipline against members like this.
Now, the ANC is a democratic organization. People are allowed to express their views. And in this case, there are differing views. And as far as the vote of no confidence is concerned. Why is it not within the ANC to allow cadres to exercise their their minds and conscience?
You see, the members of the ANC who serve in various legislatures, including the National Assembly, are serving there at the best of the movement that has deployed them, on one hand. On the other hand, as public representatives, they've also taken the oath of office to ensure that they uphold the Constitution of the Republic. Now, the danger of elevating an individual conscious more and above a collective consciousness of the movement and the party line is that in the near future, what you will then have is an exodus of individual decisions that will be taken everywhere throughout the country on the basis of comrades arguing that this is in the best interest of the movement in terms of their own individual conscience. It goes back to the point I was saying that to what extent do you limit your own individual consciousness to that of and subject it to that of the movement, a collective that you belong to? Because members of the ANC are entitled to express their opinions robustly, frankly, but there must be a time where we say, fine, we all came with individual views, but we're in the ANC. From here, how do we move forward? And that's where the issue comes in.
Felix, you are in Nelspruit.
Yes, Mama. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Oh, yes. I think the ANC are just missing the point here.
Okay.
When you call for unity, you will ask, united for what? Is it to unite behind a leader that has clearly gone rogue? Is it to unite a leader that does not enjoy the confidence of anybody in this country anymore? ANC is self-destructing. And until they wake up and see that Dr. Makhosi Khoza and the likes of her are the only people in ANC that are trying to save the ANC from self-destruction. You don't unite behind a leader that has clearly gone rogue, a leader that does not respect our constitution anymore. Is that type of a leader you want to unite behind? You must ask yourself, why will you unite behind such a leader?
Felix, thank you very much. Why should cadres unite behind such a leader?
You see, Mpo, Felix is becoming very narrow in terms of what he understands to be the historical mission of the African National Congress. We're not calling for unity behind a leader. We're calling for a unity behind a project of social transformation to build a national democratic society. Of course, in the course of persecuting that struggle, there are challenges. Among those challenges, which as a movement we have accepted, is that there's a potential existence in our country of what has emerged to be a state capture, for instance. And there's a consensus in the ANC that don't deal with that matter on the basis of perception. Get into the process that is going to be scientific and informed and attend to that question, because it is only that is being used as a justification to defend the president.
I want to bring in Susan Boysen, but firstly, let's take Dagi. Dagi, you are in the Val. Welcome.
Hi, Mpo, how are you?
Mpo, Dagi, Mpo.
Mpo.
Yes.
Okay, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Dagi?
I am well.
Yes.
Listen, I want to say one or two things, quick.
Okay.
The ANC is not a democratic organization because it's not allowing a person to speak their view, whether it's to their detriment or whether it's to their
advantage.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, you know Tracy Chapman. Have you ever heard of Tracy Chapman?
Yes. I'm a little bit old. I would know Tracy Chapman.
Would you know her?
Yeah.
Hey, she's got a song called Words Come Easy.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, words they can say what they like. Unless there's action to follow up those words, it doesn't mean nothing.
Dagi, thank you very much for the call. Dagi that says, well, you can speak as much as you want, but it doesn't make... Let me bring you in, Susan.
Yes, we hear many words of movement, organization, ANC being turned around. It is the process that is unfolding now. And this contestation for, in a way, is to put heart and soul of the ANC to try to put back in place that values that people have seen slipping and that voters and former ANC supporters out there see slipping. And at this stage, they need more than words. And they really need more than saying, yes, we're united, trying to unite followers, members behind a national project for social transformation, socio-economic transformation, whatever phrase you want to attach to it. There is leadership that stands in the way of that and that have been damaging that project, been damaging the ANC in terms of its public image and in terms of how well it has been governing. That governance project has been compromised by leadership, and that is a process that is unfolding now and is accelerating to change that.
By the way, your PEC is also being questioned. How legitimate are you to actually even summon Makhosi Kosa?
Well, there are no questions about the legitimacy of the provincial.
Well, there are. You are in court.
Challenging court.
Well, the matter is in court. We are quite correct. And surely, when the time comes during the course of August, I think the court will settle the issue in one way or the other. But that doesn't mean that the PEC is therefore without legitimacy to do its work. This is a PEC elected in 2015, which has undertaken a lot of political work on behalf of the organization, supported fully by the National Executive Committee of the ANC, which is our supreme body. Those who have taken the ANC to court have done so because of their own reasons, but merely taking the ANC to court does not constitute sufficient basis to delegitimize the Provincial Executive Committee.
So would you say, now I want to hear this from you, would you say the ANC in KZN is united?
The ANC in KZN is united, but it has got challenges. There are comrades that are not happy.
Half of them?
It's not true that is half of them.
It is. I mean, what was the percentage with which Sihle won?
How has that been measured?
I'm asking, what was the percentage with which
you see,
won?
That question is predicated on the wrong assumption. That since we left the Provincial Conference in November last year, no effort has been done to unite and consolidate the organization. If you don't take that into consideration, you are still in 2 years ago, then probably you may be forgiven to believe that the ANC is divided into two pieces in KZN. But in reality, that doesn't exist. It's only few comrades. Even among those who have taken the ANC to court, there are those who didn't support this leadership who are with this leadership now. So Mpo, it's really...
So it's a few comrades who don't want this leadership.
That's correct. It's not half, as people want to put it. If it's half, we wouldn't even have the capacity to lead the campaign that we have mounted in the local government elections. because nobody would have allowed it to be led by a leadership that does not enjoy their legitimacy or support.
Susan Boyson, your advice to the ANC in KZN, very quickly.
Cleaner house, advance, fast forward that court case to ensure that you get the formalization, confirmation of that legitimacy, and only then move forward, and do not make enemies on the ground by throwing out regional and branch committees, and fight. My advice would be fight the battle clean.
Fight the battle clean. Well, I'm not so sure if that's going to happen anytime soon, but we thank you, Dantituli, for making time. So do we for Susan Boyson there. And that was Question Time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching the show. From me and the crew, you have yourself a wonderful time. Khoza.